Okay, thanks guys for tuning in to Dia Beltran, my Wednesday night live stream. Today is a special event. As you can tell, I'm not in my bedroom. I am I am in a studio, very thanks to the Unshackled. So today's discussion is about nationalism. So I'm just going to read something that I've written ahead of time. Blair Cottrell is a major figurehead for the nationalist or alt-right community in Australia. He's one of the most popular public speakers in the country and was a popular online content creator before he was permanently banned from all the main social media networks. Blair was ahead of the curve in the international censorship of all conservative voices online. He was among the first to be deleted from Facebook, losing his Facebook page and his 150,000 followers in 2017. He's since been permanently banned from Twitter, Instagram, and even PayPal last year, despite a fair reporting agency concluding that Blair said nothing wrong. Sky News suspended one of its political commentators, Adam Giles, for interviewing Blair on live TV. And
move the microphone down.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. And Minister for Transport Jacinta Allen removed Sky News broadcasts from public transport facilities as a result. Nowadays, most journalists will not interview Blair for fear of losing their jobs. But despite all of that censorship, even with an extremely limited social media presence, Blair still helped to rally about 500 people on St Kilda Beach in January of this year, where he publicly identified the corrupt media and government alliance as the real enemy of the working people. Sorry, guys. Blair and everybody at the rally was labelled as neo-Nazi by the media. As a result, I happen to know that firsthand, the lies spread about Blair in the media are many and would take hours to address. In reality, Blair is a self-employed carpenter and a motivational public speaker, and here he'll be engaging in a much-anticipated discussion about nationalism with first-generation Australian Kwaku. Say hello.
Hello.
Alright, so Kwaku Adjei has spent his life in Australia as an Australian. Ooh.
Yep.
His family originated from Ghana. He believes that the West is best. He was born and raised under Christian values and has come to certain epiphanies which have led him to online activism against feminism and leftist dogma. Whilst becoming an atheist, he still maintains the belief that Christianity must remain a staple in Australian culture and society. He has featured on podcasts such as White Pony Network and the TV show Family Footsteps. Kwaku is a passionate libertarian conservative and considered an Uncle Tom by some. Well done. And he has a very severe melanin condition.
You're such an idiot.
Sorry. Okay, so today's debate, it's not a formal one, everyone. The format is more of a discussion, and the question which I shall put forth now is, what is nationalism in Australia and who qualifies to be an Australian? So that's what you guys will be discussing. I want to thank Tim Wilms for facilitating the event.
My man, Tim.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate it. Okay, so I will interject when I notice things. If I feel like maybe you guys have overstepped something or you've overlooked something, I will step in. But otherwise, go ahead with the discussion. I am out of the frame now.
Tim, yeah. What sort of, where do you want this?
You're just talking to the mic.
Fantastic. I'll open the batting.
You'll open up, okay.
Yeah. So,
I can't figure out this.
I can't work out the microphone either, but I'm grateful that first I want to shout out Blair for turning up. He's the main man, let's be serious. He's got the profile, he's got more to lose than I do on all this sort of space. Thank Dia for having this as a format.
You don't have to hold that, right?
Thank the Unshackled boys, fantastic work there. And let's get down to the topic, eh? Do you want a few words, Blair? I'll let you go.
Well, where would you like to begin?
So, with regard to nationalism, what's nationalism to you?
Well, in order to understand nationalism, we should probably begin with the word itself. And nationalism, of course, is an extension of the word nation.
Mm.
And what is nation to you?
Oh, obviously, how would I describe nation? So, any organized, like any country that has sovereignty, has its own rules to govern itself. Is what I'd say. But I am. When people talk about nationalism these days, or the very first thing that comes to my head is, I see some sort of like white nationalist movement, or some sort of like based on, like some sort of division based on race. That's what the sort of area that you get into. I'm not trying to, verbal or politicize it, but that's just a natural inclination that you get when you hear about a nationalist group. People generally will think like a white group, because generally I don't think there's that many black nationalists or Asian nationalists. I'm not sure, we can discuss that. But generally, we'd probably start off with a white group. We'd probably start off with a right-wing group. That's probably the picture that you're getting. And yeah, that's where I think that the majority of people would think. So
I think probably the reason for that is because there's not so much stigma or attention on any nationalist group from any other race except white people. There are plenty of black and various different Asian nationalist groups, and even Indian nationalist groups such as Tamil Tigers, black nationalist groups, Nation of Islam in America. I won't go through them, but there's plenty of them. But none of them draw in as much criticism and create as much controversy as white nationalist groups do. However, many of these other nationalist groups representing different races other than white people are in a lot of cases more extreme. Now, what was interesting is in the first sentence when you responded to my question was you said that a nation is any country. Do you see a difference between the words nation and country? Do they mean the same thing to you? What is nation compared to country?
yeah, probably, because a country is a body of land. Am I lifting this up?
Speak into the microphone.
Okay, so a country, I'd say, is a landmass, or yeah, that's just for at the basic level you say that. But a nation probably governs your nationality, because that's the extension of the word. So who is from this nation? So it's probably talking about people, I'm guessing. I'm not
Very good.
I'm not
You're on the right track. So country is a, you've stated correctly, is a landmass or a geographical area, an area on the earth. And nation refers to people. Problem though is it does not refer to people inhabiting a specific landmass. Nation has always meant, until recent times we're currently living in, where the terms nation and country have been confused. The lines between these two words are blurred with definitive lines. However, already when you use the word nation instead of country, for example, if somebody says I love my country, no one has any problems. But if someone says I love my nation, it almost has slightly more bite to it. And this is because nation not only means people, but a specific type of people, a subgroup. To go a step further, nation means race. Country is a geographical area and nation is race, a specific type of people. This is why this is what it has meant for the thousands of years hitherto. It's only in our, as I said, in the modern era, we don't understand the difference between the two. But for example, for hundreds of years before Israel was re-established, various European leaders, such as Napoleon Bonaparte of the French Empire, referred to the Jewish nation, even though there was no Israel. He was referring to the Jewish people, or to be more literal, the Jewish race. And that's what they are. They're a people exclusive to themselves, in themselves. And the problem with putting nation or sort of degrading or debasing the meaning of the word nation to just the people residing in a specific area, this would mean that your nation is interchangeable and changes when you move to a different area. Would you agree with that?
You put a lot of words there. I'm trying to. I can't. Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there for me to say. Do I agree with it?
Well,
I don't know. I agree with it.
What I mean simply is, when you, for example, if I was to go to your home country, which is I'm sorry,
Australia, but we'll continue.
well, where your family is
well,
from?
where my going? Why I'm black? Is the question.
Yeah.
Well, I'm black because my ancestors are from Ghana, which is West Africa. Ghana.
Ghana.
Yep.
And to be a member of that nation, you would say Ghanese.
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian. Okay.
Yeah.
So is South America.
No, that's
Guyanese.
that's a different country. Yeah.
So one more time,
Ghanaian. Ghana
Ghanaian.
is in West Africa.
Ghanaian.
There's a country called Guyana, which we'll sometimes get it mixed up, which is Guyanese, which is in South America. But yeah. So Ghana is West Africa.
Ghana and Guyanan.
So Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
Yeah.
So if, for example, if I had a beautiful white wife and we moved to Ghana
Yeah.
and we had a child there,
Yeah.
would that child be Ghanaian?
Ghanaian. It's tricky.
Correct,
I actually looked this up recently, so not as part of this, but I was looking up to how you become a Ghanaian citizen. It's actually quite difficult to become a Ghanaian citizen. But
But there again, we're talking when we're talking about citizenship, we're talking about paperwork.
Yep.
But
So you're trying to say if your child was born in Ghana to two non-Ghanaian white people,
yes,
would they then somehow become Ghanaian? Of course they wouldn't. That doesn't just naturally. It's not conveyed upon by birth.
exactly.
Okay.
So why is it different in this country?
Why is it different? Because obviously, if we talk about who was here first, talk about the Aboriginals. So it's been different for a long time, and it's probably as a matter of hegemony. So like the ruling class or the ruling group of people.
Would you say that Aboriginals are Australian?
Fuck, yeah, of course I would.
There was no Australia before the arrival of the First Fleet, or actually after. Australia was officially federated and named Australia in 1901. So how could Aboriginals be Australian?
I think we're playing a semantic game.
Well, it's
I won't agree with you on this. It doesn't mean that what you're saying is wrong, but to suggest that the people who have lived on this land for thousands of years, what was it, like 50,000, and are the indigenous population here aren't Australian. I would probably won't ever agree with that.
I would ask them
We'll
why.
take a lot.
I would ask them why would they want to be Australian? Why would they want to associate or identify with the group that's responsible for apparently colonising and taking over their landmass? Why would they identify with that same group? Why wouldn't they identify with their own kind?
Okay, so
That's why I think it's
in this
amusing when
space,
they're
I'll
called
tell
the
you,
first
no.
Australians.
So in this space, I'm very respectful of Aboriginal people, because I don't think that society at large puts the respect on the Aboriginal name that we need to. So they're here first. So if we talk about any sort of argument about European people taking back their land or something, I was thinking about this whole nationalism thing. And if we talk about a lot of the white nationalist stuff is talking about it runs concurrent with, say, people saying they're sick of Sweden having Arabs there because they had a few problematic situations there and all that sort of stuff. So if you talk about the indigenous people of white lands claiming to their lands, then you have to then include, just to be consistent, that Aboriginals were here first. This was their land. Their land was taken from them in a very coercive way, well, let's say. And they've had some horrific things done to them, but we're not. It's not all apologise to the Aboriginals about everything. They're very. They had their own culture, so you can't then sort of just dismiss them. I think you're being quite dismissive of them if you say Australia started in the 1901 or whichever period you're talking about the Federation date. I don't know that.
Would you say that Australian culture is different from Aboriginal culture?
I'd say that when you think of Australian culture, as in the term Australian culture, you don't instinctively think of Aboriginal culture. No, that's not what it is. But that doesn't mean that Aboriginal culture is not Australian culture. Of course not. Because where are the Aboriginal people going to be then? If they're not from here, where are they from?
They consider themselves First Nations.
First Nations people. Well, that's a start. They've rejected the term Australian, which is a start for them. I would recommend that they do that if they really wanted to identify as an exclusive group.
If they're not like, first of all, if we talk about the term Aboriginal means the first people of any land. So you have Canadian Aboriginals who are native to there. American Indians would be the Aboriginal population of there. So we're kind of being, it's a semantic game if we want to start talking about that. But let's get back to it. We'll talk about I did introduce the term. We'll talk about the Australian Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people. Where do they fit in your sense? That's a question I'll put to you.
Well, I don't really give them much thought, to be honest. Their affairs are their own, and my interests are with my own people.
No, but where do they fit in? Or you just haven't really?
As I said, I haven't given it much thought. I can see that the current state and the various institutions loyal and connected to it are making an effort to
Yeah.
are making